Welcome back to the Glaze Studios second class on oil painting basics. We are continuing to work on making a small portrait of a baby in oil painting. Last class, what did we see? We did some basic discussion on the different types of paints available on oil painting, the brands available. How can one, choose a right brand for himself or herself while working on oil painting, especially when you're beginning. You don't want to invest much in it, so it's okay to pick up a small packet of 12 different colors and start playing around with it to see how it goes. If you like more of it, then it's worth investing in a good brand. That's what we saw in our first class. Then we also looked at the type of brushes, and we more importantly discussed the canvas itself, how canvas is placed or tethered to a wooden frame, and how important it is for us to understand that, the way it is tethered. So we are able to do a very good work on top of that canvas and do justice to the art, understanding the material we are working with. Yes, we saw that, and we did start with making a rough first layer. Yeah, that's what we did in the last class. And for ones who are tuning in directly into the second class, just to give an overview, we started with a 40 by 40 centimeter canvas that is framed onto a wooden frame. So this is what we have started with, and we did use a rough brush, and I suggested a hog hair brush to start with. Personally, I do use hog hair brushes to start with, to make sure that the hair pokes into every single what do we call every single spot that is there in a cloth material, woven in between woven threads. So that's mainly the reason why we suggest a hog hair brush, that it will go in and make sure that the color binds to every single yard of the or thread of the cloth. And if you are not having a hog hair brush, any old brush that is hard enough, that's what I also use as a substitute, that is really old and it's really hard. I have not maintained it well. Sometimes I try to reuse it also. So I did the first coat, and the subject matter is a very small little beautiful baby. One of my friend has been kind enough to share the picture of her own daughter, and we have the picture also available in the link where you can download if you want to exactly do the same, or it's okay, you can pick up any children that or a picture that is available to use as an inspiration. Also remember, I also discussed one more important thing: using pictures or photographs or copies instead of the live subjects. There's always a disadvantage. There's more one can learn from looking at an object or a subject directly while painting, and no matter how sharp the image is, there's always something one can, as an artist, pick up with his or her own eyes and tell a story that might be missing or not so clearly seen in any picture, in a photograph. So that's where an artist comes into play. So I will definitely, like many other masters and senior artists that are on the space, I will also suggest that the first preference should also always be given to using a live subject and working on a live subject. But here, for the purpose of the tutorial, we are taking one picture into consideration, so you can see how I'm working on it. And also considering that this is a small little child, a beautiful baby, she keeps moving. faster, so it's difficult to place her and expect her to be seated for a while for us to paint. Yes, so we are being practical using a snapshot or a picture like this. So I printed it off for my convenience. Some people also prefer to have it on their laptop or iPad, iPhone, and put it next to their work area and work. That is also perfect. And right now we move into the next step. So that's what we had. It's a short recap of what we did in our first class. And now we are going to focus more on to the next important step. And for me, I really am a fan of this ratio called golden ratio. You can read more and more about it on the net. There's so many medias available to learn about the golden ratio, but just to simply put it from an artist's point of view is that it gives a perspective on where to place a key object or subject in a canvas. Golden ratio also comes from nature. You can also measure your own hand to figure out, you will find out 1:1.618 and 1:1.618. You can go on and on and on. And this is available in any part of nature. You can look at a tree, you can look at a leaf. You will always be able to see this magical geometry around you all the time. And that's also a reason why I go back to the golden ratio most of the time when I'm using a slightly bigger canvas or medium-sized canvas. I'm always trying to do that. And there's also other ratios, so it's not just golden ratio that I use, but mostly when I'm working on a portraiture or something, then I try to build on a golden ratio. There are also ratios such as dynamic symmetry I work on sometimes. But for now, we are going to work on golden ratio. And to do that, we need to understand the length and breadth of the canvas we are working on. And right now, I am working on a 40 by 40 centimeter canvas. So in here, I'm going to punch in the number and do a math for you. So I've got 40 centimeters. And the length and breadth is the same, so for me it's just a one calculation. But if you have a canvas that's got different measures, then you will apply the golden ratio for both the measures. So that's very important. So for now, because I'm having 40 centimeters, I'm just going for the 40 centimeter calculation here and multiplying it by 0.618. What do I get? I get 24.7. I'll round it off as 24.7. So if 24.7 goes off from my 40 centimeter canvas, 24.7, then what do I get? So I'm deducting that to get 15.3. So two numbers are important for me, 15.3 and 24.7. These two are the ones that I'm going to use to break the canvas into divisions. We are going back to the canvas, and remember, for me, I have 40 by 40, so I did apply the 0.618 on 40 to get a common ground for the division of my canvas. But if you have a different size, you will remember to apply that again to do the lines. So last class you saw me using a hard brush, and right now I've got soft synthetic brushes. I've got brush number 4, I think, and this is brush number 12. These two are soft synthetic brushes, not too fancy costly ones. I'm using simple ones just for you to see that it can be done with simple, basic elements. So I'm trying not to have too many fancy elements here for you. And going back to the oil that I used was again a very very basic linseed, cold pressed linseed oil that I took in a small lid here last class, and I still have it, so I'm continuing to use that. And I last time used I've been using some brands for a while, so I'm continuing to use that. And I did show you last time I used this My Mary brands made in Italy, Classico Van Dyke Brown to start making the first layer. So I still have some leftover right here in my palette. So I'm going to continue using that to make the lines for me for the golden ratio. So I use a very handy measuring scale. I've been using it for a while, so it's got all the colors you can imagine. And so I am placing a dot on 15.3 and 24.7. I will do that again somewhere else. 15.3 and 24.7. So now I've got two dots and I'm going to connect them both. So I will do the connecting using a ruler. So I'm not really worried about making it look very dark or something. I just want to see where the lines go for my own purpose, to draw the subject. So, it's up to you. How far do you want to thicken it or, make it look visible using the same color, using different colors? It's perfectly all right with oil painting. Do remember that it's possible for you to hide the complete work totally on placing more colors on top, doing something else on top. Repainting is something most of the artists do on some of their artworks when they don't like it also. So there's nothing wrong or right. If you got something wrong, it's perfectly okay. We can always fix it when it dries. So just relax and enjoy the process of learning. I did that. Okay. It looks fairly okay for me. So I'm going to do the same exercise on the other side as well, 15.3 and 24.7. That is because I've got a 40 by 40 centimeter canvas. If you have another calculation or the length, then you will do the calculation again and split the the length, the breadth of it accordingly. So let's do the calculation. Marking first. So I place the 15.3 and the 24.7. Then I place somewhere 15.3 and the 24.7. Yeah, I think I have the lines, the important lines that I wanted from the golden ratio. And now I am going to start plotting where I want the subject to appear. And for people who have already seen some of my artwork, you can already see that I give a lot of importance to where the eyes are, how the eyes of the subject look, and so on. I think there's so much energy and there's so much story to say in the eyes of a subject. And you can go on learning it, there's no end to it. The same is with respect to children. There's so much beauty in the eyes of a child, and also the point that they're fully unaware and unprepared, like us when we are in the front of a camera. They are just so innocent. This whole capturing the innocence is just amazing, I think, and that's what we're going to do. So we will start with placing the eyes. That's usually where I start. There are very different methods. One thing I would want to stress upon before even we are getting started with plotting is that the methods that I am sharing with you need not necessarily be the perfect method. You can always find other different methods or approaches to work on it. That is perfectly fine. I am just sharing with you my small little experience. So yeah, if it works for you, that is fine. If it doesn't, it's also perfectly fine that you figure out another way to do it. Yeah, there are people who approach subjects very differently. Starting with a head, or starting with drawing the overall space, and so on. So there are many approaches. This is just my approach of starting with the eyes of the subject, and here we have a very pretty subject to work on. I'm going to place her right next to me here. Okay, got it. She's with us now. Yay. So, so for me, like I said, the golden ratio is where I'm going to start placing the subject. So I have found this line as an interesting spot where I want her eyes to be placed. Then eventually you will see that her face is coming up and filling in the center space. And much of her the front body and her hands will come up here. And at this point, I'm also going to say something. Remember, we touched upon this topic on, copying from a picture or an image versus, looking at the subject and doing something live. And I will always touch upon subject. Most frequently, you will see me doing that, and that's because I always think that it's important for us to be observant with our own pair of eyes and learn directly from the subjects instead of just taking the help of another medium. So here, though I am referencing the picture of a baby here, I'm going to make some changes along the line. For example, I can see the child's picture has been taken inside a house, maybe. So there's this couch. I can see doors and a wall. So there's a lot of content here that is something maybe I will change. So it's also up to you to find your own way to, even as you are learning to do and copying from an image, try to see spaces where you can grow your own imagination. So that's how I'm going to go about it. And we are starting with the eyes. I will not waste more time now. Getting started with the eyes. So this is bright and beautiful eyes. The very simple way is to just place a dot, isn't it? So let's do that. Place the dot. And I know that there are two beautiful circles that I will place. I'm going to place them somewhere up here. One and the other will go here. So this is how we're going to start. So we always start with very simple things. You don't need to be an expert, Just start with simple things and grow with it. So I have placed the dot and I'm just looking at the distance and I'm seeing, okay, and if that's going to be the space between both the eyeballs of the baby, then do we have enough space or do we have too much space between the eyeballs for other features to come? I'm just looking at it. For now, it seems okay. Maybe I'm making mistakes or not, but I will grow with this, So I'm going to now make the dot a little bigger circles. She's got a very good, interesting, pretty eyes. Let's bring that around. I'm just making a bigger circle. There you go. We have two big circles now. These are circles that I have made. And now, if you look at her eyeball, the way she's looking at the camera, or anybody that's close to her, the angle, I can see that she's looking in this angle, meaning there is the eye curve coming here. That's how it's going. I've got that curve. And over here, you can see that it's just coming here and down. We've got this space. So I'm still making adjustment also and looking at it. And for people who are a little bit anxious, I want to check if it is perfect or not. There's also okay to have a little bit of white color in another brush to try doing it to see more clearly. That's also fine. But for now, I will just go with this Van Dyke brown to go on to the next steps to placing things. Yeah. But it's also fine for you to, if you're very apprehensive about where things are, use another tonality like a simple white, the lighter tonality to place things. That's up to you. Yeah. But for now, I think it is okay. Yeah. So I have placed that, and I noticed that the eyebrows of the baby are a little thicker, So I'm going to place them right there. Not too much fuss. We've got her eyebrows. She's so excited. Yeah, maybe she knew that we are all going to try painting her. She's giving a very good yes, I've got that. And the other eyebrow, let's go for that too. I did that. You can see that it's going towards the side, slightly down, like that. And mind you, can you see there are hair strands? So I wouldn't start placing hair strands and details right away, because for me, I'm only trying to pick up the superstructure of the baby, and I work on details in the layers at a later stage. Again, this is another choice of people. So for me, if I'm going to think of making plain and straight structure, then I will think of her head only. Yeah. So I'm not going to work on the details. I will just think of placing her hair like this and bringing it down. So imagining that when we work on the details, we will do this hair strand falling on her, front of her face and coming close to her eyebrows. We will do that at a later point. So for now, I'm just placing the basics. Okay, so that's how I did it. And now I'll move on to the next important place, the nose. A lot of my students also tell me that it's a little challenge to place the nose. Actually, we need to remember one thing about the nose, that it's a very delicate part of our body, very important part of our body. But if you think of your own nose, how it is, it's supported by a very thin bone structure right in the front. But otherwise, it's mostly on the sides. You can feel the muscle in your. So it's just coming from, it feels like it's pulling from the cheek somewhere. So do remember that. So there's more of shades rather than putting clear structures for a nose. So for now, I'm not really anxious about placing the structure very perfectly. So I'm just trying to see where the shades are going. So the light is coming from possibly the window or wherever the baby is placed on her. This is her right cheek, on her right cheek. So the darker shade is on her left cheek, which means the darker shade of the nose will also be on the left. So I'm just placing that slightly and coming down a bit to arrive down. And then for me, it's more important is that pores in the nose. I will place that for the baby. We've got that. This is where it is. So you see, I'm just, and I do like to use my own fingers. So most important than the brushes for me is my fingers when I work on portraits also. So you will see me brushing off things with my fingers also sometimes. But I love doing that. So I did that. I've got some kind of space where I will place the nose. Maybe it's a little bit bigger or smaller. We'll figure out. We'll figure out as we go. Yeah. That's what I'm doing right now. And then right underneath her nose is this slight space where you want to place the upper lip, and then the tiny pretty lips. Let's do that. Okay. And remember, the lips of the child are also very delicate, so got that. And now I try to do chin. So I'm coming on the direct portion coming down. So if you really are someone who loves to have structure around it, it's also good to have one straight line drawn, or not a straight line, it's a slightly curvy line drawn to make sure that it's all in the center point. That is also a way to do it. But otherwise, this is also fine to try out. Placing, and do remember it's oil painting, so the very easy way to erase will be to just use another brush and or a small little tissue paper also to just rub up things. It will go away, so nothing to worry about if something's gone wrong. Yeah, I'm just placing things underneath the cheek. Go and work on the cheek. It's always important to remember the bones of a baby uh, are not fully formed yet. So there's always some bulkiness and softness about it that we need to, be bear in mind while we are working on a portraiture of a baby versus, let's say, a fully grown adult. There might be, strong suggestive bone lines in a body which might be missing in babies. That's also why it makes really interesting. So though you can see a cheekbone there, there's just some bulkiness, beauty about it that we want to capture. Now it's time for her ears. Uh, so you can always notice that the ear, where it starts, the curve it starts, it's almost proportional to where the eyes are ending. So it's so close there. It's usually there. But it could be possible that the hair of the child, is hiding it. So always remember where you are placing it and how it's showing up. I'm just trying to do that. And it comes down. That. The other ear is not visible that prominently though, but we do have it. So we'll place it. The stage. And for me, like I said, I'm still working on a superstructure, not a perfect one. So I see that her hair has got a really, she's been playing, isn't it? You can see that. Really, in many directions. This is exactly why I said we learn a lot when we paint portraiture of little ones. Yeah, great exercise. Do try that. It's just got her hair in all angles, but I'm just trying to build a superstructure. There is some hair coming off here. Okay, but I will do that. Yes. So I have built that space and I'm just going to shade it for me to feel a little comfortable on the darkness, the darkest spaces. I did that. I think she might have some clips on her hair. Got all that components coming in. It'll be interesting. So I did that. Not exactly like her, but somewhat close to that. I'm okay for now. So do not get really boggled into getting it right the first time. We're all learning together. So it's okay if it is just there. Most of the time when I start, I aim at having at least 50% of what I'm working on. And then I slowly move on to 60, 70%, and then get there to 80, 90%. And always, when I get to work with subjects that are close to my axis, it's also very good that I try to have a look at them and learn more and take feedback from their family members and so on. So that's also something I try to do. Yeah, this is something helpful to start with when you want to learn from real subjects. It's good to pick up somebody from your own family and friends. Then you have a good access to the original subject. Okay, now we are going to do the space around her neck. You cannot see much of her neck, but it is there. Remember that. There is some part of it that is visible, even though she's She is crawling, I can see she's crawling, so cannot see much of it, but still there is some space of her neck that is visible. Tiny little one. And then around her neck, the darker shades, I'm building that to bring in and show her shirt. There it is. So if you see what we have done, we have placed the superstructure of our main subject almost within the key areas of the golden ratio. So we have used this the lines effectively to start with, and we are going to go about placing she's like so she is in a crawling position, obviously, so the hand is in semi movement. So we need to keep that in mind. Again, when it comes to drawing something white like this, she's got a white shirt on with some dots or some marks. Even though it's white, there are some places where it's folded. So we also need to be aware of those spaces as darker spaces. We will work on much of dark and light in the next level also. At this stage also, it's good to just be aware of it, where things are. Okay, now we are going to place her hands. So you can see that she's been balancing her body with her right hand. So we are going to, there's very less of the hand that you could see, but still that's really in movement. You can see the fingers. You can see a couple of her fingers, and her thumb is slightly folded. So we want to do that as well on the right hand, and then we will work on her left hand. And in the real picture, we have the left hand, a part of it is visible. The hand itself is not clearly visible fully. And that's exactly why I wanted to pick this, because this is where our imagination should flow. Yeah? So we are copying, but we can use the imagination to finish that hand as well, isn't it? So, so I again took a little bit of my Van Dyke brown, uh, my Mary Brand's oil color. It's up to you to pick up anything that you are comfortable with. So I'm looking at the folds where the most of the hands, the arm is. There is one sharp fold here. She's got it. She's got her coming up here. Very nice. And then she's got the arm. The arm comes up here. Major part of the arm comes up here, and it's hidden by the shirt. And now we go for her hand itself. Remember, again, there are fingers, but then we don't make it really sharp. There's a lot on fingers and how to draw hands. It's always a challenge. It's still, it's always a challenge for many of us. And the easiest way to think of it is that think of it like a tube. So there are cylinders. So imagine those small little cylinders. And even when you look at your own hand, you will see those are cylinders to work on. And we are adults, or you could be a young person, but just imagine a 6-month-old baby will also have those cylinders, but they are still a little delicate and bulky. So we will have to address that as well. So we start with the major fold near her thumb. That's one cylinder I see. Try to do that, and it's hidden, so we don't see much of it. But just trying to, the thumb is folded towards her, so it's against us, so we don't see much of it. We have places as such. Now comes her hand and the fingers that we are able to see. The visible ones are here. And remember the delicacy. So I usually try to make it as small and delicate as possible. Good. And then comes other one. The other finger is also visible. Okay. Remember the darkness quotients that we want to show, the dark and the light. So I have placed them. To me, it's not perfect yet, but I can live with this for now because they are almost around the shape that I want for now. So I will go on building into that. That's how it is. We cannot see the much of the other two fingers. Maybe she's got it folded, so we cannot see much of the other two fingers. So it's up to you. Do you want to show it or not again? Like as though she's got her palm open or folded. Let's have this exactly like the way we have, and we will start imagining things for her left hand. I'm just moving this a little away so that I'm having some space to do her left hand. So I see again there is this bulky little elbow coming up, visible. Okay. And we go hand. So this is where we are not able to see the other part of the hand, isn't it? So this is where we do build our imagination as well. So I see this is the ones visible. Let's do the easier ones that are visible, and then let's work on the imagination. So if I have to go by what is here, I can see that she's got her hand folded, fingers folded and grabbing onto the toy maybe. Yeah. She's got that, and I did place her. So her thumb is not visible much. The first finger, the folded one, is visible in the picture, and second finger is also visible to a certain extent, and then we are missing out on the other two fingers in the picture. That's where we start working on our imagination. Can we build that she's got her third finger also like that, folded, and let's play around. Let's have her little finger. Usually children have the habit of the little finger, comes out. Let's do that. Let's imagine her little fingers come out. I'm doing this, and then I'm filling in a section that was not there for the picture. So we have a superstructure of the baby that we started painting. And it's not perfect. We still have scope for improvement. But for now, we do have something to start with. That okay, so that's it for now. So if we have to just summarize what we did, we try to understand the golden ratio, how to use the golden ratio, and divide your canvas. We did that, and then again, if I have to say this is my style that I am suggesting, it's not necessary that one has to follow exactly this way. And I place the eyes on the lines of the golden ratio. So that's where I have done. I started with the eyes. I love the eyes, and I love to start with the eyes. So that's where I did. And there's a lot of the details that I'm going to avoid, and that's what I did to just work on the superstructure of the baby. the subject and place her eyes, nose, and lips and eyebrows where her ears are coming and how her head is placed. So I'm still adjusting while I speak to you. So I did just that, and I have placed her hands, and also we talked a little bit about imagining on the spaces. Even as we are copying, learn to imagine and create things on your own, not copy 100%. So it's always good to copy the masters, for example, or do a copy of somebody else's work to practice. That's always a nice idea to start with. But yeah, as soon as you get on to building your own ideas slightly, it's easier for you to get away and to create something on your own. So we did that, and we are going to do more of that as well in the next class. So that's about it. Thank you very much for